Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Babylon Eyes match review show. Arsenal 0, West Ham 1. Not quite sure many people would have predicted this, but it was, an insane game. Really, really great performance from the boys. And yeah, I know a lot of Arsenal fans that are very frustrated by us. A lot of Liverpool fans are absolutely loving West Ham fans right now. But we're going to break down exactly how Graham Potter got the better of Mikel Arteta's Arsenal and just some really, really encouraging signs across the board. As you can probably hear, my voice is still a little bit croaky from the game yesterday, but it was a fantastic away performance from West Ham. Absolutely deserved the points as well, which makes it even better because it wasn't like there was any frustrations in the game. It was thoroughly deserved. And we're going to go through the highlights, break down exactly how Graham Potter got the better of Arteta. So if you do enjoy, leave a like, subscribe to the channel for more content. And let's start with the lineups. It was an interesting approach from Graham Potter, and it absolutely worked. You can see on the right there, we played that back five again after the back four against Brentford didn't really work. We played a midfield three of Souček, Ward-Prowse and Alvarez, with Ward-Prowse at the base of that pivot. And then Bowen and Kudus kind of as the outlets going forwards. And yeah, in the back line, we saw Todibo come back in for the first time in a while. Ollie Scarl's got his first Premier League start, which we'll touch on as well. But just overall, it was a really fantastic performance. And then Arsenal was kind of what we expected. I did expect Lewis Skelly to start a left back, but Calafiori came in and Marino came in for Sterling up front and Trossard moved to the left-hand side. So definitely like injuries for both teams, suspensions for both teams. Partey Paqueta was the one that was injured, but it was a big injury for West Ham. Obviously, Arsenal have their own as well. They've got quite a lot of injuries going forwards, but it was still enough for Arsenal. Arsenal expected to win this game. It may not have been a convincing performance or win, but they were expecting to turn up and beat West Ham, which again, I think West Ham fans also thought the same thing going into this. But it was a fantastic performance, as I mentioned, and that shape and that way that Graham Potter set up West Ham, absolutely perfection, absolute perfection. He did so well, and it just nullified Arsenal's strengths that they did have on the pitch, and it forced them to play a way that suited into our hands. And if we look at the stats from the game as well, overall, Arsenal had a lot of the ball, 68% to 32. Expected goals of 1.22 to West Ham's 1.07. They had 4 times the number of shots as ours, but again, you look at the quality of those shots is very different. 2 shots on target each, 1 big chance each, 1 big chance missed for Arsenal. And they only had a couple of corners, which was interesting. And you can see the momentum graph there. But to be honest, for all of Arsenal's possession or, field tilt, however you want to look at it, there was a lack of penetration. There was a lack of quality chances created from Mikel Arteta's side. And that's kind of 2 factors. Number one, how Arsenal were playing and the personnel they had. But number 2, how we set up under Graham Potter and forced Arsenal to play a certain way. And it was very evident early on. You can see the shape that West Ham pick up, that 5-3-2. It was interesting, again, as I said, that James Ward-Prowse came in to be the base of that pivot of the three with Alvarez and Souček either side. What that did allow us to do is at times when we were trying to play out, Ward-Prowse was probably the better technical player of those midfield three players. So it just allowed that little bit more calmness or assurance on the ball in those central areas. But what it also allowed was Souček and Alvarez to double up or pivot out wide if we needed to, because we knew that if we could force Arsenal into wide positions with Trossard and Ranieri, they're not players that are going to run directly in behind. They're ball to feet players. They're not blisteringly quick either. So it really made West Ham's job simple. Force Arsenal into wide areas, congest the middle, stop crosses, and deal with anything that comes in from wide areas. And Arsenal had a lack of runners in behind to cause West Ham problems, which is why we sat in that low block in this shape, and then looked to capitalize on the break when we could. And full credit to every single West Ham player. There wasn't one player that didn't play well. And every single person knew exactly what the job was, exactly what we needed to do. And again, that's credit to Graham Potter. He's still only been here, a month and a half now. So he definitely deserves credit for this type of performance and this type of win against a team that's chasing the Premier League title. And you can see here how West Ham's first chance, it was very evident early on that we weren't just going to come there to draw. As defensively set up as we were still looking to break in numbers. And Jared Bowen picks up the ball here. Kudus makes the run in behind. And the ball eventually comes out wide. But you can already start to see the West Ham players starting to flood the box. You've got Bowen, you've got Alvarez, you've got Souček, Ollie Scarls. They're all making their way forwards to get into positions like this. So this was encouraging early on. We were getting players in the box. Ward-Prowse on this occasion puts the ball in, but you can see look how high Kilman is, how high Cresswell is. Obviously, Ollie Skiles at the edge of the D there as well. Wan-Bissaka's made his way into the box. Kudus just on the right-hand side. So we were getting players forward. Ward-Prowse puts a really nice ball in. Souček's header just goes over. He just gets underneath it a little bit. But that, for me, was enough intent early on to showcase exactly how West Ham were going to play. And we were going to pick our moments well. But when we did find those opportunities to hit Arsenal on the counter and force them into a position that made them uncomfortable, we were going to go for it. We were going to take it. And for the first half, I think in the second half, circumstance and the way we were playing and the energy levels dropped, and it became very, very difficult to do that. But in the first half, we were fantastic and we were really creating some problems for Arsenal. And you can see here, one of Arsenal's best chances of the first half it comes from a long shot from the edge of the box from Calafiori. But you can just see here how compact we are. And I mentioned it before. Arsenal weren't getting Ranieri the ball quick enough, but also he's not really someone that's going to run in behind. Here he should be making that run in behind for Odegaard to play through. He's very ball to feet, which made Skiles' prediction of what he was going to do a lot easier. And it also meant that, we know Skiles' 1v1 quality is fantastic. So he actually backed himself and, he'd done extremely well in those scenarios throughout the game. And you can see here, the ball comes in. Arsenal's fullbacks are inverted, but it's just so centralized and they don't have any runners. You can see here in Ranieri again, just kind of static, not looking to make a run in behind. And it just made it so easy for West Ham to deal with. And then Arsenal were almost forced to play across the box on the edge. As you can see, we're very compact. We're not allowing any space in behind us between our goalkeeper and defense. And eventually, as soon as that ball's played there and there's a trigger, Todibo straight out to him, pressing Calafiori and forces the shot into Areola, and it's a really comfortable save in the end. So those were the types of the situations and scenarios that West Ham were forcing Arsenal into. A, because Arsenal's lack of intent from their players, but B, again, the structure and the way Graham Potter set up for West Ham was just, it was so clear as to what he wanted to do, and it was executed extremely well from every single player across the board. So defensively, we're fantastic. As I said, we were also picking our moments in that first half to get at Arsenal and to find opportunities to hurt Arsenal, especially when they were committing a lot of bodies forward and playing in West Ham's half a lot. But with Kudus and Bowen as our outlets and the energetic levels of Wan-Bissaka and Skiles out wide, it allowed us to cause Arsenal some problems and give them something to think about throughout the game. But it wasn't just that. We were comfortable in possession a lot of the time. There were moments where we were giving the ball away way too easily, especially in the second half when Arsenal went down to 10 men. But in general, we were playing with confidence. Todibo came in, and that's the difference between someone like Mavropanos and Todibo. You see here, he gets the ball. If Mavropanos got this ball here, he probably would have just shifted it down the line. But what Todibo does is he fakes to play it down the line, comes inside of Trossard and just creates that extra yard of space for him, and then plays it into the feet of Thomas Souček. Souček bounces off of Wan-Bissaka. And then again, we spoke about Wan-Bissaka's performances and how sharp he's been in these big games for West Ham. It was exactly the same. His first touch, as soon as he's pressed, is a touch inside where he just beats the player extremely easily, and then plays a nice 1-2 with Souček again and is down the line. And again, that willingness to get forwards and commit body forwards shows again. You can see here, Ward-Prowse, Kudus, Bowen, Skiles in the bottom of your screen trying to get forwards. Wan-Bissaka is the one that's creating this opportunity. So as much as it was a defensive structure from West Ham, it was also used to our advantage to get at Arsenal and almost draw them into a situation where we created these spaces and opportunities for ourselves. And this was a really, really good chance. A great ball, great cutback from Wan-Bissaka. And Bowen, again, on his right foot, just scuffs it a little bit and it goes wide of the post. But in general, it was the signs were there even before West Ham scored. The encouraging signs were there for West Ham, and it was just about doing more of the same and repeating exactly what we were doing, frustrating Arsenal, limiting the spaces in central areas, forcing them wide, because Trossard and Ranieri, they're not really 1v1 players. They're not direct. They're not going to get in behind. So again, saying the same things, but it's true. It was a pattern throughout the entire game, and it's probably what frustrated Arsenal fans as well. But I would say on the balance of things, we were the better team in the first half. I think we really frustrated Arsenal, as I said, and we were just creating some really good opportunities. And another one here, this comes from a set piece. We had a free kick. It falls back out. Skiles wins the second duel here. Kudus then gets the ball. And again, we're not just, resetting once we lose the ball. We're sticking around. And Souček, again, taking that space on Gabriel at the back. Kudus plays a lovely dink. And to be honest, Souček could have done better with his header. It sits up really, really nicely for him, but he can't hit the target with it. But again, I liked the intent from West Ham. We weren't scared to put balls into the box and get bodies into the box, which is not always easy to say. But let's move on, because again, the goal comes from how we defended, how Arsenal committed bodies forward, and then how we countered with pace and intent, because this goal is probably one of the best goals we've scored this season in terms of all-round situation play. So we can see Arsenal here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 Arsenal players, other than Raya, of course. They're all here in our final third, pretty much. You've got Saliba and Gabriel at the back there. I've highlighted Timber and Calafiori, the fullbacks. So they've both inverted here to go and play in these central areas, which again helped West Ham because there weren't any overlaps from Calafiori or Timber on the wide areas. So it just made it so easy to play in these central areas for West Ham and just shield off these spaces. Nwaneri and Oli Scarles in the bottom right, as you can see, still not making that run in behind. So Scarles is just waiting and waiting. Odegaard found these positions quite often, but again, was very ineffective throughout the game. And if I just move it on a shot, you can see here the first moment. Okay, we win the ball back. Cresswell, great interception, great tackle. Timber goes rolling around on the floor trying to get a foul. It was never a foul. He wins the ball. But then what's the reaction of West Ham? What's the intent? The ball comes into Bowen. And you're thinking, okay, what we're going to do? It's the 44th minute. The players are probably tired at this point. What do we want to do in this situation? What's the game plan? What has Graham Potter told his team to do? He's told them to get forwards and exploit this from Arsenal, where they've overcommitted players and we've turned over possession in a really good area of the pitch. And Bowen starts to move off, drives us forward, drives us up the pitch. And again, we mentioned Wan-Bissaka and his engine and how he plays in these games. He was absolutely fantastic, and he always offered us an outlet on that right-hand side. He's the first one to bust a gut and go forwards. The ball gets played into him. And then it's just a sequence. I mean, you can see here in your shot, you've got Wan-Bissaka, you've got Bowen, who I've highlighted there with Declan Rice. You've got Edson Alvarez, who was on the edge of his box a minute ago. He's bust a gut to get forwards. Kudus as well is one of those players trying to get into the box. So again, we're committing bodies, we're committing players forward to pick the right moments to hurt Arsenal. And Wan-Bissaka does extremely well to get us up the pitch from his own box. And again, Jared Bowen, who started the move, isn't resting on his laurels. He's trying to get forwards. And Rice and Bowen, you can see there, they're both highlighted. And Rice is aware of where Bowen is. He looks over his shoulder a few times. So Rice is tracking him well here. He's doing everything he should be. But then he switches off. And then there's a few sequences of what happens. So again, you can see Rice looking over his shoulder here as Wan-Bissaka's trying to take on Calafiori. And just look at Thomas Partey and Edson Alvarez and what Edson Alvarez does in this situation, because it creates the space for Jared Bowen. And there's a couple of mistakes from Arsenal here. Number one is allowing the cross into the box. Number two is Declan Rice losing Jared Bowen. And number three is Thomas Partey getting drawn into Edson Alvarez and the threats that he then poses in the middle of the Arsenal box. And this highlights it perfectly. So as the cross is about to come in, Alvarez makes a darting run to the front post, which you can see Thomas Partey's positioning there. He's drawn to the player. He's not even looking at the ball. And you can see Rice. He's drawn to the ball. He's just lost Jared Bowen. Bowen's found that space between them. Maybe Rice is thinking, okay, one of my centre-backs will pick up the runner coming in. But to be honest, it's poor from Rice. He's static. He's ball watching. And he should just come into this position or tell Gabriel to drop in. This shouldn't be allowed to happen. And again, it's a fantastic cross from Wan-Bissaka as it comes in. Alvarez, as I said, makes that movement. Thomas Partey's come out to join him. Bowen's just found that little pocket of space between the goalkeeper and the centre-backs. And Rice, again, static, ball watching. And there it is. And that picture is perfect. That picture absolutely is exactly what every West Ham fan wants to see. Rice looking over his shoulder, Bowen finding the space, scoring a header, and West Ham finding the lead just before halftime in the perfect moment in the match. And it just set us up a platform to then continue how we were playing and pick our moments wisely. And yeah, it was a fantastically worked goal from defense to attack. And that sequence encapsulated exactly how we wanted to play. And I guarantee you that's exactly what Graham Potter would have been working on the training ground, because it happened a few occasions. Wan-Bissaka was the outlet a lot for us in that first half. And yeah, we reaped our rewards for the positivity we got and all the defensive work we were doing as well. So we went into half time in a really good situation. I was hoping that I was hoping that we were going to continue playing in the way we did, but didn't drop back too much or give Arsenal too much possession, which I will touch on in a second after the red card. But in general, we were fantastic. We were really, really good. We continued as we did in the first half. In the second half, you can see there the shapes there. Everyone sticking to their jobs, and then we started to do this. We started to frustrate Arsenal and show them we weren't going to be bullied, weren't going to be messed about. The first one again, Souček winning his challenge, winning his duel, setting West Ham off for a platform to counter. And then Kudus, who was absolutely outstanding, man of the match. I'm going to ruin it already. Man of the match for me. He drives West Ham forwards. But as soon as this ball gets turned over, look at the intent from the West Ham players. Ollie Scar's on the left, ready to go. Edson Alvarez sprinting forwards. Ward-Prowse ready to come up. Souček moving forwards. Jared Bowen darting forwards. We were not scared to go forwards. We were not scared to try and hurt Arsenal and get a second goal, especially in the first 15 minutes of that second half. We get it into this situation. Eventually, it goes out to the left-hand side. Alvarez misplaces his pass. But again, what's the reaction of the West Ham team when we lose the ball? Odegaard's got the ball here. Okay, we're already coming back. Alvarez, who's just sprinted and lost the ball, he's now sprinting back in. Ward-Prowse shows up Odegaard, and then boom, wins his tackle. Again, the physicality side, winning our duels, showing Arsenal that we weren't going to just roll over and allow them to win this game. And again, that creates another fantastic opportunity in this sequence where Cresswell, again, not scared to go forwards as part of that back three with Ollie Scarles on the overlap. West Ham committing bodies forward. And this is where Jared Bowen gets extremely underrated by the majority of fans across the world or across the Premier League, because just identify this here. He makes a darting run forwards and Gabriel sees him. Gabriel goes with that run. Okay, he's doing everything right. But just as that ball's about to be played in, he then shifts his movement and the agility of Jared Bowen there as that ball's coming in. He just creates that space for himself and absolutely sells Gabriel. And the ball in from Cresswell is absolutely outstanding. It's absolutely on the money. And we were this close from going 2-0 up. It was so, so close to touching Jared Bowen's foot. And from there, that goes in. That's a goal. But it literally just grazes past his foot. And it was really frustrating because it would have been a fantastic goal to score again. But the intent was there, 1-0 up. We were still trying to create chances and push forwards. That did start to drop as the energy levels dropped around 65th minute. I think we were getting tired. I think once Todibo came off from Mavropanos, there was just a little bit more nervousness in the team. We obviously couldn't play how we were playing out with Todibo in the team, again, who was fantastic, by the way, on his first game back from injury. But we just started to drop back. And Arsenal made a couple of subs. Obviously, Declan Rice came off, who had a frustrating afternoon, just didn't fancy it at all. And they just started to create a couple of chances. But one thing I want to highlight here is West Ham, again, we're in our shape, 5-3-2. Very, very easy to see what we want to do. But this is probably the first time in the game that Arsenal make a run in behind. And it's Zinchenko and Lewis Skelly who are involved, the two subs. Zinchenko just makes that run in behind, which then creates the space. It just asks a question of West Ham. It disrupts a flow that they've been used to for the whole game. And Lewis Skelly then makes that move in behind. And they create themselves some space here. And they play it out to Trossard. And then he's then got the space to get a shot off, but Areola makes a good save. But all of that comes, again, if I take it back, from Zinchenko literally just making one run in behind. And then in a couple of sequences time, Arsenal find themselves in this situation where Trossard's shot goes straight into Areola and Areola makes a good save with his feet. But that's probably what's frustrated Arsenal fans that entire game. They just did not make enough runs in behind. I mentioned it before, Trossard and Ranieri, they were obviously going to be the outlets for Arsenal with the way they lined up. There was it was very clear to see how Arsenal were going to play. So Graham Potter identified that. And, personnel wise, they just didn't have players or runners in behind. Rice was trying to do it sometimes, but not really. And then you've got Odegaard, who's ball to feet, Partey, who was sitting in. The fullbacks, as I mentioned, they've almost been conditioned to invert more than overlap under Arteta with the current setup, which again is working well and it's keeping them structured. But in this sort of game, they needed to double up on that left-hand side or right-hand side to cause West Ham problems and move them out of that central zone, because it was just way too comfortable for us to defend those opportunities in those areas. But yeah, I mean, we were fantastic. We really were fantastic. And we deserved everything we got from this game. And the red card for Arsenal kind of encapsulated that as well and summed up why Kudus was man of the match for me. Because let's take a look at it here. Sorry about the quality of the photo in this one. But you can see here, we're kind of just pushing out. Arsenal have the ball with Gabriel. Ball gets played here to Lewis Skelly. So Kudus and Bowen, they could just sit in here. They could keep comfortable. You know, we're in a decent shape here. Let Arsenal recycle possession and then we defend the next zone. But he doesn't. Kudus straight onto it in the 70th minute after sprinting around all game, driving West Ham forwards. He's putting him under pressure. He's forcing the error from Lewis Skelly. And that's exactly what he does. He wins the ball. And then we're here in this position where Raya's caught out way too high. Saliba on the other side is, again, caught out of position or way too far away from Lewis Skelly. But again, probably didn't expect him to lose the ball in this situation. And Lewis Skelly just takes him out. I think he panics. He realizes he's made a mistake. And I'm not quite sure how the ref did not give a red card in real time. I mean, when you look at it here, if Kudus doesn't get tackled here, he's through on goal. You've then got Jared Bowen in a 2-on-1 situation. And to be honest, Kudus would probably just shoot because Raya's so far out of his box. So I think circumstance of, Arsenal being given red cards where they feel like they shouldn't have this season has played a factor into this decision. But as soon as it went to VAR, it was very clear that it was going to get overturned. And yeah, it was a deserved red card. Arsenal were down to 10 men. And at this point in the match, I wanted to see West Ham take control of possession, take control of the situation, and stop Arsenal from playing. However, I get it and I don't get it. So the reason I understand why we did what we did is because the players' energy levels were zapped. And we were used to a structure throughout this 75 minute period where it was working excellently. It was working to a T. So why would the players want to change that? But I just feel like with the extra player, we could have relieved some of that pressure in the last 15 minutes just by playing around Arsenal and, forcing them to come and press us a little bit. And then the spaces would have appeared. But we just dropped back a little bit deeper each time, even when Arsenal had 10 men. And said, okay, break us down with 10 men, which again, it may be the right thing to do. It ended up working, but there were a couple of scary moments towards the end there where Arsenal could have got a goal. But yeah, I just feel like we got quite sloppy in possession and we could have done better on the ball. But that's probably my only frustration from the afternoon. We've come away with a victory. It's more than I would have asked for, hoped for going into this game. And every single person, as I said, defended fantastically, transitioned fantastically. And every single person knew exactly what they needed to do. And they executed it to perfection. And Graham Potter, as I said, deserves huge credit for getting a team that 2 or 3 months ago was going around Man City at Etihad Stadium like reckless chickens, pressing when they shouldn't do, leaving gaps, leaving opportunities for counters. But then he's just changed that. He's identified the squad we've currently got, the way we're playing, the opposition we're coming up against. And in this situation, it just worked extremely well. And yeah, winning 1-0 away at Arsenal, back-to-back wins season by season away at Emirates in the Premier League, their first defeat in the Premier League at home this season as well, and a clean sheet. Like all of these things, it was an unbelievable day. It was an unbelievable afternoon. And yeah, as I said, thoroughly deserved, which makes it even better being a West Ham fan. But yeah, I touched on it at the beginning. Man of the match for me was Mo Kudus. I think he was just head and shoulders above any player on the pitch. And he was just absolutely, like, even in the 90th minute sprinting forwards, he was just unbelievable. And it's what we haven't seen from someone like Mo Kudus for so long that it's frustrating that when we do see it now, we haven't seen that consistency. That's what we need to now see. We need to see consistency from Kudus because we know the talent's there. We saw it last season, and I'm hoping this is going to give him the platform to continue. But when I think about other players who stood out, honestly, everyone was so good. Areola was great. That back three in the first half and first 60 minutes was outstanding. Kilman, Todibo, brilliant. Cresswell, we need to talk about him. His performance was fantastic. And he allowed someone like Ollie Scholes to thrive in the way he did, because just having that senior figure next to you to lean on, to talk to throughout the game, to have that guidance, it massively helped Scholes. And, touching on Scholes there, he was outstanding. For his first Premier League debut start, he was unbelievable. He won every single duel. I think there was maybe one time when Ranieri beat him. But other than that, he pretty much locked him down the whole game. Going forwards, offering an outlet, quality in possession, tackles, interceptions. He was just unbelievable. and worked tirelessly again throughout that 90 minutes. And then you look at the other side, Wan-Bissaka, again, energetic, driving West Ham forwards, being the difference in that first half between West Ham winning and West Ham drawing or losing. The midfield three, again, Ward-Prowse coming back in January and just playing that role so well, being aggressive, getting outpaced by David Raya when running through. But we don't talk about that. He had tired legs. But yeah, the midfield, Souček, Alvarez winning their battles, winning their duels, offering support to our wide areas defensively and busting a gut to get forwards and get into the box in transition. And then Kudus and Bowen, again, both of them working absolutely tirelessly. Kudus was fantastic in transitions. He was strong. He bullied Gabriel. He bullied Saliba. He was unreal. He was unbelievable. It's one of the best individual performances we've seen from a West Ham player this season. Probably the best, to be honest, from how he affected this game. And then again, you look at the subs that came on as well. They played their part. But overall, yeah, man of the match for me, Kudus. It was close. There were a few others, but Kudus was just better than any other player on the pitch yesterday and thoroughly deserves it. And yeah, it was good to get 3 points in this one. I know a lot of Arsenal fans are frustrated about this, but you can't expect to turn up in the Premier League against any team and expect to win. It's just not how it works. And yeah, we absolutely did a job on Mikel Arteta. We knew exactly how they were going to play, and to be honest, they played into our hands. There was a lack of flexibility from Mikel Arteta in this game. That's probably my one criticism of him. Obviously, there's a lot of injuries and things that are affecting how he can play, but there was a few things, as I said, that Timber and Calafiori kind of inverting way too much and allowing Trossard and Ranieri to get bullied in 2v1 situations, isolated out wide. Odegaard, again, such a frustrating figure for Arsenal because he's obviously a talented footballer, but just by and large ineffective. And then, yeah, just defensively, they weren't good enough. They weren't structured enough when they lost possession in critical areas, and West Ham exploited that way too easily. But yeah, I mean, it was a fantastic performance. It was a great away day. And yeah, hopefully we can continue with this with a home game against Leicester. Now we need to push on and, see what we can do for the rest of this season. But yeah, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Who was your pick of the day for West Ham? What were your thoughts on the win against Arsenal? And yeah, we go from 16th to 16th, which is a bit frustrating that we don't move up in the table, but it's a fantastic 3 points and one that no West Ham fan probably thought we were going to get going into this game. Other than one person that bet on it, like £100 at 10-1, like whoever you are, fair play. Definitely more confident than I was going into this, but yeah, we take it. Absolutely, we take it. It was a fantastic win, fantastic performance. Graham Potter deserves a lot of credit. The whole West Ham team deserve absolute heaps of credit and praise for how they performed and the energy levels that they showed. And yeah, it just seems like there's a togetherness right now at the club, which is exactly what we needed after a turbulent first few months of the season as well. So yeah, if you enjoyed the breakdown, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel for more content going forwards. And until next time, come on, you Irons.